Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. This is for Friday. It's June 7th, 2024. There is a lot to cover today, so I want to go ahead and get right into it. Starting off, as always, with the markets and our main risk indicator, the MMRI. Now, I would like to give a quick shout out to Greg Manarino for creating this. And if you happen to be new to this channel and don't know him already, please visit his channel. I think you would enjoy what he's got to say and subscribe. You don't want to miss out. So with this, it is in high territory still of risk, not extreme. It's pulled back a little bit and then stayed level really yesterday. So we have the fear greed index inching back towards that fear level. So the market's kind of hovering at a bit of a top at this moment. And as I've said before, once it goes into that fear range, the volatility and the uh, moves increase rapidly. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We've got behind that the relative strength of the dollar yesterday has been dropping as well as the 10-year yield. Now, both of these, when they drop, they give a lot of room to stock to rise. So we've had great stock market returns past couple of days, a bit volatile, but nonetheless, we've also got cryptocurrencies are doing very well today. Now, a lot of this is because of the European Central Bank cutting. And so, what we call the Fed put, or basically, markets are expecting the Federal Reserve to also cut and start going back into the easy money. So, the cryptocurrencies, I've posted Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple XRP. I think that you should, if you are inclined, own at least some Bitcoin. I've got some more stories about that in a bit. So we've got stocks at the moment are mixed. We've got some earnings coming out prior to the market open, as well as what we are really looking at are jobs numbers, getting unemployment. And we'll really be looking at that. We've got the futures also saying that there's a mixed environment and urging caution, at least toward the end of the day, more increased volatility as we go into the weekend. So don't have a bad day on a Friday to go into your weekend. Manage your positions depending what type of trader you are, and understand we're going into a very volatile day. So right now this came out. We've got 3 stocks now account for 20% of the S&P 500's value. Makes investors nervous. We've got similar setups in also with the NASDAQ, the tech sector. Not as much the Dow, but want to watch that very concentrated earnings because it tends to skew what these numbers look like. So right now, our sentiment, we're looking at the jobs, mortgage market, and housing. We've also got GameStop news coming up, and the war could have a large effect as well. We've got crude oil on that war basically coming up, but there's demand concerns. So dropping on demand concerns. Going into our calendars, you see these reports that are coming out for the unemployment are prior to market open. We're also getting later inventories and consumer credit. We don't expect those to move the markets as much, although they can. Right now, looking at what we call the stock market Magnificent Seven. These are in the tech sector. So NVIDIA has been just going parabolic the past couple of days and has now overtaken Apple in market cap. So now second most valuable company in the United States. So heavily watching that right now for the artificial intelligence. So going into Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, we have the largest Bitcoin mining firm this in the United States sold 63% of their mined Bitcoin in May. This is Marathon or Mara, but there's more to this story. Basically, they're exploring overseas expansion, and they have announced a partnership with the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum in the Republic of Kenya. Now, why would they do this? And it's because they've got a large amount of renewable energy across the country. And when they do this, Bitcoin miners help optimize energy infrastructure because they act as flexible loads and they can stabilize the grid. So what they can do is they quickly adjust the amount of energy that they consume based on the grid demands. When there's surges, they can go higher into these Bitcoin mining grids and just increase the hash rate. And when the supply is down, they can also kind of turn it down. So they reduce the consumption during these peak load times. So they're a fantastic buffer against these. We've also got more, this is really quiet and in the background, but a company called BitDeer, they've just introduced an energy efficient Bitcoin mining chip. So, what goes along with cryptocurrency mining? Artificial intelligence. So, could they be a basically later competition for NVIDIA or some of these others? We'll keep an eye on that. So, with all of this, we've got the European Central Bank rate move welcomed. They did cut yesterday, but across the board, mortgage rate cuts are unlikely. Now, we have seen mortgage rates retrace a bit, and several mortgage lenders cutting their fixed rates in advance of this. That would give a boost to the housing market. So that's large in the underground of this. So moving more into the markets across the board, we've got Moody's putting several US regional banks on a downgrade because of the commercial real estate exposure. CRE is still super high risk, still underwater. We're watching massive losses across the United States in the larger Class A buildings right now. We've got another warning. This is kind of unrelated, but Europe's fertilizer producers now sounding the alarm over big imports from Russia. Russia is one of the larger suppliers of fertilizer, and with all of the sanctions going on, this is critical for the food supply and could undermine them. So, we've got a few other stories. We've got Chipotle. This is just another stock in the United States market. I should not have made this large. It's not that big of a deal. But they've got a 50-for-1 stock split. So this will make their stock more readily available. NVIDIA's 10-to-1 stock split does occur today. So we'll be watching those two. We've got Saudi Arabia joining BIS, that's Bank of International Settlement, and China-led central bank digital currency project. This is huge. Why is this so huge? First, they're moving outside petrodollar is timing out. Secondly, they're using other exchange systems, and it's another movement outside of the US dollar. And in not so much for today, but the longer trend that we'll see over the next probably few months to year, this will have a huge impact. So we've got the European Central Bank's pay gauge accelerating new inflation warning. So what they're talking about is while they cut yesterday, don't expect it to continue. They may have more inflation issues. So a couple of things I want to bring up. MasterCard has palm paste biometric on their checkout. This is similar to Amazon's. So while this is going to, it's major privacy and identity concern with all of this. However, this is a boost to them. They are mostly South America, so they're going live in Uruguay. They have also gone live in Brazil. I believe it was just it was a few months back or last year. So again, this positive news and inflation pushing mortgage rates down. Not much though, but this is coming from Freddie Mac, so we'll see if this gives a boost to the housing market. So another thing I have to mention is, I hate talking about this now, but GameStop surging 47%. This was yesterday because he announced he's going to have a live stream today. We've already got over 15,000 people waiting for this. It's not until this afternoon. They are expecting a 200% rally in this stock. However, it's sending his shares to $1 billion. He's also not got shares, but also options, which time out. He's planning on cashing these in very soon. I think it's critical to realize this. So their revenue came out. The revenue is in a sharp decline for this company. So this is literally by definition a load of hype. So I've had people tell me they've got a large cash holding. Yes, it could be true, but they're going to have to move that and put it to use. as a business before it's actually viable for the long run. Enough of that. Let's go into the war and what is going on with Ukrainians. They want the United States to stop complaining about their corruption and just give them money. So, United States is now sending, and I'm tired of talking about this as well, but another $225 million military aid package. The problem with this is now they are told they are able to use these to strike threats inside Russia, on Russian soil, in order to defend Kharkiv from heavy Russian assault. This is a large move off. France is also giving fighter jets to the Ukraine. They are telling them that they're able to conduct long-range missile strikes on Russian soil. And then along with this, they have also issued warnings and threats to Russian diplomats. So in return, Moscow told Macron that he has three options. So this is Maria Zakharova. She warned France of retaliatory measures in response to the threats that the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs imposed as sanctions and threats to their Russian diplomats in Paris. So she returned and warned that if Russian diplomats are touched, you will receive retaliatory measures. First, there is still the tradition of asking questions. Second, there is still a tradition of answering those questions. And third, the possible death of French nationals in Ukraine, which French authorities have previously vehemently denied the presence of. So Russia basically telling him they're not going to put up with his kind of youthful garbage he's coming up with. So with this, we've got Russia's ready to arm the United States enemies. This is coming from Medvedev. We've got a convoy heading to Cuba in the next week. Cuba, Havana is right off of U.S. shore. So again, Cuban Missile Crisis coming into play. We've got China aggressively recruiting pilots from US and NATO, and this is coming from the agencies warning them. So really escalating this, not really any need to, but it's what they're doing, fueling this military industrial complex, and just more floods of easy money ways to fund that. So we've got a couple of other things. We've got, I can't help but mention this one, so forgive me. But in Hawaii, Space Force planning new telescopes on Haleakala. They don't need to put these up here. They've already got several others in different areas. This is very sacred territory. If you have not seen, and it is named for this, the sunrise over this crater, it's unlike very likely any other place in the world. So at any rate, moving off of that, we've got another story. All of this bird flu garbage. They're talking about cows. Now, very, very carefully, this headline: cows infected with bird flu have died in 5 U.S. states. Didn't say they died of it. It just said that 5 of them infected with it. They tested them afterwards, had this. They want you to be afraid of this, and they're trying to push this narrative again. Anyway, moving on to ChatGPT, make her one of the originals. And this is why a lot of the team has left recently. They ignored a fatal threat that was posed by the artificial intelligence that they were building while this was happening. But in their rush to be competitive and get these out, they were ignoring the warnings that they were giving out. So with this, I wish you all a wonderful weekend. It's Friday. I want to also say become self-sufficient. If you can, start a garden. Spice Rack could be your ultimate first aid kit and also your medicine. So until I see you again, my friends, stay free.